Good morning everyone, welcome back to another weekly outlook. We're going to start off here on the monthly, right, with our top-down analysis. So let me briefly talk through the price action for those who need to catch up. We have our monthly bullish dealing range, right, from this low to this high. This is the discount of that range, okay? So we're obviously in the premium where we have rejected this imbalance and order block, okay? So from there, we've had a bearish reaction. So my outlook on the monthly is a monthly pullback towards discount, though we may see some reaction from the quarterly fair value gap if we hit that target this month. All right, so we'll go up to the quarterly in a moment. So why pullback? Because we're in the premium. We've taken buy side liquidity from previous months into this bearish fair value gap and order block, okay, and of course we've reacted bearish from there. Down in the discount, we have monthly open imbalance, and then when we go up to the quarterly now, you'll see what's attracting on the quarterly. So the quarterly has a similar image. We only have 7 days left for this candle to close as this sort of high test doji. We have a nice fair value gap here, nice big fair value gap with the quarterly fair value gap just below our current month's low. We also have an order block there as well, which you can see on the monthly. All of that is around this same area of the monthly fair value gap and BPR, and it's in the discount. We also have this inverse fair value gap, right? So we have this fair value gap here, which price tested as resistance. We've broken through it and we may now pull back to it to test as support. So we have a lot of confluences, a lot of things to attract price down in this zone here. Okay, just the first target that I can see price running into and having some sort of reaction would be this quarterly fair value gap, right? We're clearly having some sort of reaction now, but we'll see that on the lower time frames. So just down to the monthly briefly to keep our mind on it, right? We've got this quarterly fair value gap, which is our first draw on liquidity for now. And then we have these below, right? Which may attract price. So I hope that's clear. Price is in this bullish range here, coming from this fair value gap where it took that sell side liquidity, created that bullish run here. Now we've run into obviously the resistance here, and I'm envisioning a pullback to this area first, of course, and then probably deeper around into this zone here. So that's the monthly outlook, the bias that would see us going bearish, right, for the time being. So let's go down to the weekly. Let's see how that looks. So on the weekly, you can see we got really close to that quarterly fair value gap, 18.5 pips away, measured from that low to the quarterly fair value gap. Now what this red line showing, not sure why it's so high there, what this red line is showing is SMT divergence with DXY. So if we go to DXY, which you can see below here, you can see this high has passed this high here. So we've got this high to a high, whereas we've got this low to a high low. So that's a break in the correlation because we haven't crossed off into that quarterly fair value gap there on EU, right, versus DXY, which has gone into that quarterly fair value gap. So what we've seen from there is some bullish price action. We've seen bullish week last week. So far we're bullish this week as well. So what do we have above? We have a draw on liquidity above as well as a draw on liquidity below, right? This is our main target following that monthly vision. However, if we look above price, as we're having that bullish reaction now with this SMT divergence after taking all of this sell side liquidity here, you can see that price is being drawn towards this fair value gap above, this bearish fair value gap and BPR zone here, right, which would be in the premium of this bearish dealing range that we have now, right? Since breaking this low, which you can see here, we had bullish dealing range. We've broken that low. We've got the bearish dealing range from this low to this high here. So what have I said over here? Our weekly market structure shift, which is here where it shifted, aligns with our monthly pullback, giving strength to the bias and increasing the probability of us pulling back lower in price, which is true. We have a bearish PDA above price, which we may pull back to as we have reacted bullish last week since the SMT appeared, right, which is also true. So we have this draw on liquidity above price here, which price may want to reach into, and we'll have to look at the daily for any barriers which may stop that. But at the moment, we do look good to come up into this zone here to then most likely continue our bearish trend down towards the quarterly fair value gap and possibly beyond that. Okay, so the weekly is aligned with the monthly for that bearish vision. However, in the short term, it does look like we may have some bullish activity pulling back towards this draw on liquidity above, with this SMT giving us that early sign of that. Okay, it was only 18.5 pips away, so I'm surprised price is pulling back this far, but it's happening. So let's go down to the daily. Let's see what that looks like for this bias for this possible bullish week. So I have a few things to explain here on the daily, so give me a moment. Hopefully it will become clear to you. Where is price now? Well, currently price is sitting at this bearish fair value gap and bearish order block. High probability bearish zone here. However, if we look at the price action that occurred yesterday, even though it was mainly motivated by Trump's tweet or truth, right, which turns out maybe actually a lie. Right, we had a very big bullish day yesterday, a massive bullish range. I've highlighted the wick here in yellow. Why? Because if you look at this candle, it's a bullish low test candle. So of course it's taken a lot of sell side liquidity, took that previous daily low, closed out as a bullish engulfing candle as well, engulfed it, right? So it's a bullish low test. Okay, so that this candle alone is indicating further bullish price. And if we look to the left, what was previously resistance may now be coming support. So this was a bearish fair value gap. This became resistance, of course, because it was bearish. We got a bearish reaction. Then we had our bullish move above it. We've come down and pretty much retested it. So it's an inverse fair value gap now at this point. And price could be seen as reacting bullish from there. We've got a bullish low test candle, right, on the daily. So that may be pointing towards higher prices coming towards this weekly fair value gap, which we also have an open imbalance on the daily for a weekly pullback deeper, right? If we go into this weekly fair value gap area, we may reach into this daily imbalance that was left open as well. At the moment, however, we are stuck between these two zones here. So we've got a bullish indicator with this previous daily candle and draw on liquidity above, but we've also got our bearish confluences as well with this order block and fair value gap, which is still holding price currently, right? So we could see price go lower potentially. However, with the weekly draw on liquidity and how price has moved, we may see that pull back at least until this weekly fair value gap zone here. So that's pretty much what I've said over here. Daily time frame has PDAs that could cause price to drop from here, so it's possible the weekly pullback may not happen into this zone. However, we do have the open daily imbalance. Weekly fair value gap open is only 30 pips away, right? So between here and here, it's about 30 pips, so it won't take much. We have a lot of high impact news today as well with PMI. It could be very easily done, especially if Trump tweets. We could easily push up into this zone here. So our overall daily order flow remains bearish, right? It's very clearly bearish. We haven't broken that order flow just yet. We have the potential for a bullish move higher. So we do have to be careful. We have to have a very good lower time frame, but there is an argument to be made here that we've got this inverse fair value gap, nice low test bullish candle to see price push higher. Okay, just we do have these barriers, so our lower time frame has to look very good. So we have our overall bearish outlook to pursue this quarterly fair value gap here, but for the time being, price does look like it's on a temporary bullish pullback move on the weekly, and potentially here also on the daily with these confluences here, right? But we have barriers that we need to be careful of. So let's go down to the 4 hour, let's go down to the lower time frames in general and just see how that supports our ideas here. Right, so in terms of this 4 hour, we can clearly see the bullish price action. We can see the bullish order flow, right? We're respecting these bullish imbalances, right? Taking sell side liquidity, creating new higher highs, pulling back to these discount imbalances, and we're respecting those and then creating higher highs and leaving bullish imbalances behind, right? So in terms of the lower time frame, as you can see, it's definitely bullish order flow, and we can see how we can align to use this fair value gap here to go higher. Now we have gone into it barely, so I would like to see a deeper pullback into one of these zones here. So we'll see what the day brings, but the 4 hour order flow is clearly bullish, respecting these PDAs. Therefore, the lower time frame is not aligned with the daily order flow, right? This means we can see further pullback and opportunity for longs, especially today towards this previous daily high. and then eventually this weekly fair value gap open here. So I think the 4 hours really clear. I would prefer a better pullback here, but we'll see what the other lower time frames look like. So let's go down to the hourly. Right, so here on the 1 hour, we have the same order flow as on the 4 hour. Of course, we can see these dealing ranges, these bullish dealing ranges from this low to this high, this low to this high again. Right, we can see what occurred yesterday, this massive bullish impulse, right, caused by Trump in the New York session. However, what it did, it made sense. It respected this bullish PDA here, this bullish BPR on the 1 hour, and then came for all of this low resistance buy side liquidity here all the way up to the previous weekly high. Okay, so took any trading opportunity away from us there for those longs, but that's fine. So coming into today, we've created this range in the Asia and the evening. Now what does price look like today? Now we have that 4 hour imbalance below, which I said I'd prefer price to come into a bit more. However, if we look at this dealing range, so from this low to this high, our discount is just below that, so it would be nicer if it came a bit deeper, giving us more of a structure to trade here. It'd be a nice 1 hour and M15 market maker buy model. Now let me quickly just draw that out. Right, if we came down to here, bottomed out around this zone here, and then started climbing higher, right, we'd have a nice buy model to complete here. Okay, so I hope that's clear. You may want to go through my older videos to see those market maker models. So what would I want to see here, and what do I see happening here? Of course, I've drawn out this bearish PDA here, this bearish imbalance. Price has gone into it with some momentum, but we seem to be pulling back now. We've taken that Asia high buy side liquidity. We've gone into this imbalance, so we may see that act as some resistance and price pull back further into this 4 hour imbalance here, and potentially the 1 hour imbalance, right? It's a huge imbalance below. So we don't have to go very much into it. It would be nice if price was to come at least deeper into this 4 hour area here and touch the discount. And then from there, as I said, I would want to see from this sell side curve, us shift into a buy side curve, right? And go higher. Okay, so that would be the ideal formation, and that would look really good for those longs. Okay, so that's what these arrows are indicating here, those two options. We may just take this low here and go higher, or we may go a bit deeper. As I said, we was only 27 pips, right? Just about 30 pips away from that weekly fair value gap. So it looks like a good draw on liquidity target nearby. So we have clear 1 hour bullish structures, same as the 4 hour. We have the current PA floating above the 4 hour fair value gap, which could continue bullish from there, though there's the possibility it reaches lower to the 1 hour fair value gap. So the M15 structures and order flow will be essential to us. So I want to see a strong low be created in this zone here, just like we have over here, where you take that sell side liquidity and then price starts shifting structures. That's when we'll have a great market maker buy model to come for this previous daily high, which would be a good target for today. If we develop today, it may be tomorrow. So I hope that's really clear. I think the 1 hour is so clear, right? I just want us to create more of this weak structure like we have here, right? Pulling back down into this zone. So I want to see something exactly like we did on Sunday into Monday, where we create that structure down, come into that PDA here, which would be here, and then not like this, of course, but price comes and takes all that buy side liquidity. So we're just waiting for something like this to happen. So let's take a quick look at the M15. Right, so we won't spend long on the M15 because we pretty much said it all on the 1 hour. However, we'll give a better diagram down here. We want to see price come down, okay, take out that pre-London low, preferably even into this discount, of course, but I'm just going to do a quick drawing here. Create a strong low. So by a strong low, I mean take out some sell side liquidity, and then we break structure, then we shift in market structure, and we can pull back to our bullish PDA left behind, and then we can start looking for trades, right, within these structures here up towards this previous daily high, if any of this happens today. Okay, this could be something that we look for tomorrow, depending on how long it takes for price to form. Remember, we have loads of PMI news today, so this could actually happen fairly quickly today. So we'll see. I don't like this now. I wouldn't look for any long trades now. Why? Because this here is very weak. As you can see, this is just a trend line of sell side liquidity. It's perfectly ripe for price to come down now. Take these, create that strong low I was talking about over here, and then shift the market structure, right? So taking out these lows would be exactly what I'm talking about here. That's what I'll be looking to happen today. So just up to the daily to wrap things up. Of course, we have our overall bearish order flow and vision down to this quarterly fair value gap. However, for the time being, we are seeing a bullish potential pullback towards this weekly fair value gap and maybe deeper into this daily fair value gap here. All right, we've got our signs of bullish order flow and inverse fair value gap supporting that. Okay, we do have some barriers, so we need to see a good lower time frame. The lower time frame is definitely bullish, so we can follow the lower time frame, right, given it gives us some strong indicators as well to follow that long until we do reach this zone here, right? So buys are on the table at the moment. Okay, so be careful of news, Trump's tweets, and I'll see you guys next week.